Guys, Jonathan here again with a follow-up on the Vermihut Plus composter worm bin, and wanted to give you a few updates on this one. So the original Vermihut that I've seen had kind of some netting that was down in the bottom that would kind of hold the worms from going down into the worm tea. This one has more of a hard plate. Let me show you that here. I just save a box to put this on so it doesn't get dirty in the floor there. I'm actually in a really bad spot. I'm in a really bad spot for a worm bin here out in front of the west side of the house. But anyway, this is okay at keeping worms away, but as you can see here, see those holes right there, they can get through and they can get down into that worm tea. And I had not a lot, but a little bit of worm loss in that. So what I've done is I've just put like a piece of paper. I just take this stuff right here, this packing paper, and just sort of double it up and put it on there. And then every once in a while I take this stuff and just scrape it in to the worm bin itself. So I'm gonna have my camera person back up a little bit and I'll show you how I do that. It's not very complicated. The other thing while I'm here I'll mention too is this coconut mat. This is not the coconut core that you put into the in to make it originally, but this is the net or the mat that goes on top. This has been pretty effective at keeping out fruit flies. We did have a little bit of a fruit fly problem on top of it. In fact, I can see some here right now, but it seemed to cut down on them pretty well. So as you can see in here, so you want to come in here and look, I'll show you how I just kind of scrape this down in and get all those worms back to where they're supposed to be, and just kind of mush that paper up. It becomes really, really juicy after a while. And then what I'll do is I'll take this, set it back down, take my paper, tear it off kind of wherever, and just sort of double that up in here so that those holes are covered. You could also probably take some netting if you wanted to and put it in there. And I find that I don't have any issue with stuff flooding over. The worm tea still goes in pretty well. So, oh, that's heavy now. All right, we're gonna put that up there. And then I'm pretty ready to put in a second tray here. You can see I've got a lot of stuff in here. It's pretty heavy, pretty wet. If you squeeze that, it's pretty moist stuff. Really rich, nice soil. The worms have been loving this composter and what I've been giving them here. And I'll show you a little bit about that in a second. So we're ready to put on a second piece. And so I've got that here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to mix some paper here that's just shredded up. I actually just cut that up. I forgot to get some at work. And then I've got some compost here that I've been working on from rabbits and chickens and the yard a little bit. And it's not, I don't think I would recommend really putting in kind of hot compost. If you really got a hot compost to go on, I wouldn't do that because you're going to overheat the worms. You can get that mixed around a little bit. It's probably going to be pretty good. I'm going to put a little bit of this pine bedding that I have have for our chickens out back to help produce some of this compost. All right, and again, that's not hot compost, so it's not super heated. And then I tend to juice. And so this stuff, they love this stuff, this really fine, the carrots and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just going to put in a little treat for them. We'll put some water in this later as well, but put a little treat for them to encourage them to crawl up when the other stuff down there is done. This is looking pretty good. I'm going to bury it down there a little bit to entice them. All right. And I wanted to say too that I do have some citrus in here. So when I talk about juicing and how much they like that and they're able to break that down just super quickly, it's fine to juice with some citrus. Most of this is vegetable matter. It's mostly carrots and Brussels sprouts and spinach and those kinds of things. But I did put in some pineapple. That's fine. If you're juicing, if you're juicing orange juice every morning and you're giving them the pulp from that, I wouldn't do that. That's way too much acidity for these worms. But a little bit of that citrus mixed in is okay. So again, I wouldn't put peels in there. I wouldn't put anything that's got that acidity to it, or the oils and the peels or that kind of stuff. But a little bit's okay. And there we are. We're set up, and we'll give this a few weeks, and hopefully they'll be able to finish what's down below, crawl up into this one. I'm guessing when they do that, I won't have to worry too much about the paper on the bottom because they won't be going back down. But we'll kind of see and maybe hit you with another update as we go. All right, well, that's it for now. This, again, is the, and again, I'll wet that down later, but put that back on, get this lid back on. So far has been great. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show you. We did have a little bit of an ant problem for a little while. They were crawling up and down. These feet worked really, really well. And what you do, I'll show you there, but you put these feet underneath each one of those and just pour in a little bit of water. And then when the worms crawl up, they can't get across that water barrier. It's like a moat in the castle for the worms here. And they can't get through that, and they drown in there. And after a week of that, the worm problem was totally solved. So I just took them off for now. But that's about it. There's your Vermihut Plus worm composter going into the second layer, and so far working out really well. All right, take care.